Most people judge their financial success based on the wrong things, comparing salaries, chasing status, or feeling like they're always behind. But what if I told you there are only 4 key factors that truly determine your financial health? In this video, I'll break down these 4 factors, reveal how reliable they really are, and show you how to stay on track without falling into the trap of comparison. Let's dive in. Number 1, are you playing the right game? There are 2 games you can play to measure your financial success. And one of the main reasons people tend to feel behind financially is because they are playing the wrong one. They are playing the status game where we're all trying to one up each other. I really like the way Naval Ravikant talks about the status game. He says the problem is that to win a status game, you have to put somebody else down. And that's why you should avoid playing status games in life, because it makes you very competitive, it makes you an angry person, and you're always fighting to put other people down to put yourself up. The status game is an external ranking to everyone else. The size of your home, the brand of your shoes, and everything else that you can see and compare yourself to on social media. For instance, say, I bought a Porsche, that will only improve my status if you don't have one. If everyone else has one, it doesn't help me climb up the ladder. So you're using other people as a reference to where you are. The issue is that when you start playing this game and comparing internally with everyone else's projections, you're constantly going to feel on edge because someone else has to lose for someone else to be able to win. And there's a sentence in the book, The Millionaire Next Door, which reads, "Wealth is not the same as income. If you make a good income each year and spend it all, you're not getting wealthier. You are just living high." That leads me to the second game you can play, which is the wealth game. This isn't about what everyone else can see, but instead, it's about what's going on behind the scenes. It's the money in the bank that is being invested into assets. It's the business that you're trying to build on the side. It's the money that you're spending on self-development. It's all the things that have a positive ROI. And that can ultimately buy you freedom and buy you the power to live life on your own terms. The key is to make sure your evaluation of financial success isn't based on the status game. Once you wrap your head around that, you will realize you're doing far better than you think you are financially, because the status game is only like a movie trailer. It shows you the best bits and leaves the rest out. That leads me to the second point, which is how much should you be earning? One way to know where you stand financially is by looking at the average wages. According to the ONS, the average annual salary in the UK is £27,756, and the average salary nationwide in the US, according to Forbes, is $59,428. The truth is, these numbers actually make very little difference to how we see ourselves because, firstly, according to research, it's our own friends and our peers that have a bigger influence on our self-evaluation of financial success rather than society as a whole. And secondly, no matter how much we earn, it's psychologically easier to feel bad about that number than to feel good about it. There is a concept called loss aversion, which is that the pain of losing is psychologically twice as powerful as the pleasure of gaining. For instance, if we found $100 on the ground, we would be thrilled. It would make our day. But if we lost that same $100, our pain would be far bigger than the initial joy that we found in the same thing. According to a research paper on social comparison, the same concept can be applied to our earnings. If you found out you earn more money than your friends or your colleagues, you might feel slightly more content with your earnings, but that feeling would fade pretty quickly. On the other hand, if you found out you're earning less money than them, that would have a way bigger impact on your happiness levels, and you'd feel a lot less satisfied with how much you're making. We can be outperforming 99% of the people around us, but if there's even one person in our circle who appears to be doing better, it can make us question our own success. The worst part is, without knowing this, psychologically, we'll keep ourselves in a never-ending cycle of discontent. And as we rise through the ranks, make more money, and level up, so to speak, so does our peer group and the benchmark we compare ourselves to. So, how does one escape this? I'll go into the actionable points that you can do in just a moment. But first, let's talk about rule number 3, which is getting the 3 fundamentals right. Number 1, The first of the three fundamentals is to be fully aware of your relationship with money. This means knowing your financial health, your income, and your expenses, and then finding ways to live below your means. In other words, increase your income and or reduce your outgoings so that you have enough money left over to save or invest in some form or another. One way to do this is by using a tracker that can show you where you stand financially and if you're spending less than you earn. I have a free one that you can use in my description box, which really dives deep into every category of your life so you can be fully aware of your relationship with money. That leads me to the second fundamental, which is having an emergency buffer. This is a specific amount of savings you would have access to in the case of an emergency. And having this one thing alone sets you way ahead of a lot of the population. In fact, 40% of the people in the UK don't even have 1 month of living expenses to support them if they lost their income. And only 39% of Americans could cover a $1,000 unexpected expense. If you have a healthy emergency fund tucked away, even just 1 month of living expenses to start with, you're doing a lot better than most people. And then the final part of these three is far easier said than done, especially in the current climate, and that is to have manageable debt. This isn't just about using debt to buy things you don't need. It also means not finding yourself in a position where debt is the only way you can pay your bills on time. The average American has $32,878 in debt, not including their mortgage, and UK credit card debt is at an all-time high. 46% of 25 to 34-year-olds have taken out an additional credit card, which, according to UK economists, suggests that people are borrowing more to protect their lifestyles from the surge in inflation. So this just goes to show that if you're able to save a portion of your income, have an emergency fund, and pay your bills on time without going into debt, you are way ahead of most people. But after knowing that, does it make you feel any better? Probably not. Loss aversion. And that's where the fourth rule comes in, and that is to use the lens of an individual rather than society. There is a quote that says, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. As I was doing the research for this video and drawing back on my own experiences, a common thread became really clear to me in all of this. That is, our perception of how well we're doing is massively driven by society's expectations and comparisons, massively, without a doubt. Society applauds lavish lifestyles, external rankings, and monetary achievements. But if we rewire our thoughts to look at our own success through the eyes of ourselves as individuals, as opposed to through the eyes of society, we can see ourselves from a completely different lens. And when you do this, it sets you free from comparison. It sets you free from expectations. It gives you the freedom from not having to play the game where other people are making the rules, status games entirely. He says, you should think about how you'd answer this question. Would you rather be the world's greatest lover but have everyone think that you're the world's worst lover? Or would you rather be the world's worst lover but have everyone else think that you're the world's best? In other words, would you rather be at the top of your ladder socially, even if you're not and you're a complete fraud? Or would you rather be at the bottom of your ladder socially, knowing deep down yourself that you're number one? So, those are the four fundamentals that tend to dictate whether or not we're doing well financially and how on track or off track they are. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, feel free to share it with someone who might be feeling financially behind, but needs a little reminder that they are actually on track.